Okay, let's get started.
Just raise your glasses high. This one's sweet.
Well, I know basketball players throw up the ball into a hoop, but I don't think anyone was expecting Tracy Morgan to throw up his food during a basketball game. You heard that right. Tracy Morgan ate some rotten food at Madison Square Garden and barfed next to Steven Spielberg's daughter at a Knicks game.
Is he okay?
He's so much better now. I wouldn't have done that if it was not going to be okay.
Did he confirm it was food related?
Yeah, he said it was total. He got a big, huge hot dog from Madison Square Garden, and then instantly he felt sick, and that's what caused him to barf up his food in the courtside.
I was worried because I know he's been through a lot health-wise.
So for sure, if that had been the case, and it was because he was suffering from the after effects of his horrendous car crash, I would never have said it. But the fact that it's verified 100% food poisoning, I thought it was okay.
You're like, ba-ba-doo, ba-ba-dee-dee-dee.
Do you mind if we re-record? No, I really think it's food poisoning. If it's not, may God strike me dead.
Okay, good. Well, blessings to Tracy.
I think he's going to be fine. He said he'll never order that hot dog again from Madison Square Garden. He apparently asked for some sort of Tracy Morgan special with relish and onions or something, and whatever one of those condiments was caused him to have a severe food poisoning reaction. The funny thing is, it was Steven Spielberg's daughter's first time being courtside, and so she goes, "Thanks, Tracy Morgan, for making my first time courtside at a Knicks game very memorable by barfing next to me."
Sasha or a different one?
Her name is Astrid or I just saw it right before Astrid. It's
cool.
very similar to that. Yeah. So anyway, Tracy Morgan, I hope that was just related to food poisoning. You said that, and people have said that, so I hope that's true. Good. Oh, I want to say something for Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs. Amy was kind enough to join me at my home today.
Yes, we're in the flesh for once.
Yeah, look, if you look at YouTube, you can see Amy and I in person, and it's not just like some weird split screen where we faked it. You're actually here.
That's why we might sound worse than usual, because we don't know how to do audio still after 2 years.
Right. When people say, our voices are really low and it doesn't sound very good, that's always because we're recording in person.
So it's a trade-off.
Yes,
Decide
totally.
which one you like better sound or higher energy maybe?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know what the drawbacks are of remote recording, but we'll see. So you came in you were a flutter. You said, I have to talk about something. And it was that you had just seen, well, you hadn't seen yet, you wanted to put on the Southern Charm Season 10 reunion trailer.
Yeah.
So, and then we watched it together, you and I. We thought about it for a long time. Then we pressed record on the mics and we said, let's talk about it right now. We're not waiting until next week to talk about it. No, it's huge. It's hot. It's piping hot right now. So let's talk about it. Do you want to?
Sure. Yeah, the main thing that I had seen online that I wanted to see for myself was Madison pulled like a Beyonce. She showed up preg and no one knew, which was, I guess that makes sense because that was filmed a while ago, but she was actively, I would assume, I think, pregnant during the after show tapings and some of the confessional tapings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Lindsay Hubbard also showed up pregnant to a reunion too and surprised
but
everyone.
No one knew.
No one knew.
No.
Oh, right. No, and she didn't even announce it at the reunion. What the hell am I talking about? She was just secretly pregnant there.
Yeah, like barely.
But Madison, she surprised everyone. In case people didn't know what she was doing when she walked out, she did the classic touch my belly show that there's something precious within here. You know what I'm talking about?
What if everyone was just like trying to be polite and was really like, ooh, like, I'm not going to say anything.
I think it's quite possible that no one wanted to take the leap first. And so then you can see as she starts to touch her belly in the way in which people signify pregnancy. And then that's when Vanita stands up and goes to hug her.
Yeah,
Sally
I try
goes,
not to rub my belly in public as to not cause confusion.
You mean like, what you mean like when you do that
in
touch?
my belly.
Yeah, well, because some people on Instagram, I noticed because I went through this, like people have their pregnant belly and they touch it in such a way, and that lets everyone know That's like the secret sign, or not secret. That is the sign that they're
It's a
pregnant.
dog whistle.
It's a total dog whistle. So then everyone reacts in real time. That's going to be kind of nice that we get like Andy's reaction to her being pregnant. People love Austin's
Yeah.
reaction.
I wonder what Austin's true gut reaction was. I mean, he seemed like excited and happy, but like, do you think on any level he was like, damn, like,
I think he secretly still loves Madison and he wishes that baby was his.
you do?
No. I think he's just over. I think that they've gotten to the place that they're really telling the audience that they're at, which is that they have been through a lot. They forgive each other. Whatever spark they had is over, but now they appreciate each other for what they appreciated each other for in the past, but now it's not romantic.
I was thinking someone posted like his reaction and they were like, wow, remember when it was more like this? And they showed the like Madison clip or whatever. And I was like, whoa, it's so crazy how since she was a young mom the first time, her life is like, she has these different eras. And I was like, she had like a child in elementary school when she discovered Austin having a threesome.
That probably pissed her off all the more. It made her even more pissed. Like, I got a kid in or elementary school, and did we ever find out, was it 2 people rolling around in his bed? I thought there was some confusion about it.
Well, in my mind, I thought it was 2.
Just that he was with 2 women in his bed.
Having some fun.
Wow, having a threesome. Yeah, so they've come a long way. Now they have this sort of rapport that we see on the internet that we love, where they say, you know, you're so sweet to me. I love you so much. And then one thing I have to remark about the trailer is there's something I'm very interested in, where it's this fear of Craig.
Yeah.
Where, okay, so Shep mentioned this about 3 episodes ago in the Bahamas when Craig left the dinner table and Ryan went to go follow him. Shep went to follow Craig as well. And he goes, I had to make things right with Craig. He scares me. And I let that blow past me. I didn't think about it very much. But then in the reunion, Leva, JT, Rod, Austin, and Shep all agree that Craig scares them. And I want to know in what way.
It was like a horror edit.
I want to know in what way. Like, are you scared of Craig's retribution? Are you scared that if Craig writes you off, he'll start to talk shit about you for the rest of your life and unvault all of your secrets? Are you... I don't think they're physically afraid of Craig, but then Austin does say, I don't know if it's in reference to Craig, but he goes, I feel like you're going to backhand me if I say something wrong. I don't think that's the case, but I really want to get a grip on, understand, what is it that causes the fear of Craig? Is it what JT experienced, that if you are on the wrong side of Craig, he will lie about you forever and say you said a bunch of shit that you didn't say and try to ruin your reputation?
Yeah, so. I mean, he historically does have a temper issue.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, because he does throw bottles and stuff around. But anyway, that was just something that I really wanted to understand. And then finally, we have some JT and Vanita questions that need answering, which is what you and I talked about on our episode on Tuesday.
Yes.
We said, what is this timeline? Let's clarify it. Did Vanita know he had a girlfriend? Did she attempt to have sex with him in the Bahamas knowing he had a girlfriend? Did JT flirt with her and send a bunch of long texts about his love for her? Like the jacket thing, we know the truth about that. The JT paid back for the jacket. But I really want to just figure out exactly the stages of that JT and Vanita stuff.
Yeah, she appears to go get her phone at one point to provide receipts. There was also like Sally versus Taylor, which... I don't know if that drama happened in retrospect after watching, even though there's nothing that we saw of interest in that area.
I think Taylor is bringing back up this thing that got nipped in the bud within 10 minutes, which was when Sally was talking about Gaston's reputation. And when she said that Gaston went to saw her grandma for the last time, and that they had this beautiful relationship that started after they met in that parking lot. And then I think Taylor is like reigniting that for the purpose of having some fodder at the reunion. She's going to call into question Sally trying to bring up the Gaston shit in the early part of the season, which we've completely gone past.
Imagine me giving a single fuck about what Gaston is up to. I
know, seriously. It's like we know nothing about this person, so there's nothing dramatic knowing any other new detail about him at all.
Yeah.
But it looks like Sally wants a piece I really do think if you're on the cusp of like getting fired or not brought back, you really need to bring it at the reunion. I remember that Rod last year had one of the like worst seasons where he barely said like two words, two or three.
Yeah.
Rodrigo, 3 words. And then he got really fired up at the reunion. Do you remember? He was
Yeah.
like, Olivia, you fucking suck. I hate you, Olivia. You're a piece of shit. And I was like, Rodrigo, where the hell is this coming from? You're calling Olivia a piece of shit? And then he, I mean, it justified another season. They were like, I want to see that fired up Rodrigo.
Remember at BravoCon, like we saw his Instagram story on his flight home from BravoCon, and there was like a woman in, what was it? She was like barefoot or something, and he took a picture of it and was like, this nasty ass bitch. And I was like, oh, he's like saucier than I thought.
He wrote, this hobbit bitch next to me has no shoes on my flight. It stinks over here. I was like, what the hell, Rodrigo? I went up to Rod at BravoCon and I said, Rod, you're the best thing in the world. You are amazing. Well, yeah, he was. I really liked him, but I was like, you were so good on Southern Charm.
He was like not getting approached.
I know, it was so sad. I liked Rod.
In the after hours.
Yeah, I felt bad. But anyway, we'll get to the bottom of Southern Charm. It looks like, like all reunions, they can really provide a huge shot in the arm to a lackluster season if they're good. Because they're almost always good, unless it's like the shittiest season in the world and it's like one part.
Do you predict 2 or 3 part?
I think I already heard a whisper that it's only 2 parts.
Good.
Yeah, and I think last season was 2 parts for
Okay.
Southern Charm, despite last season being much better, in my opinion.
I feel like because they have the retroactive filming about the breakup stuff, that'll do some of the heavy lifting of the Craig and Paige. Like, we don't have to get the full update on the reunion. We get it on the final episode, and then we can talk about it from there. But if like they hadn't filmed it all, I think it maybe would have been an extra part.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I agree with that completely.
That's all I care about in
the
this
Craig
world.
and Paige stuff.
Yes.
I care about, yes, you're right. I only care about that, but I have a little bit of a smidge of interest towards Craig finally being called out in real time with no excuses that the audio does not exist of JT calling Patricia
I have a
a
feeling
bitch.
we're going to be disappointed.
I think we will too, because he'll be like, shit, sorry, or something, and be like, okay.
We'll be like, I heard what I heard.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're probably right about that. Okay, last thing on my docket, which I'm surprising you with this.
Yeah.
Alex Baskin did a trade-off where Jax went on his Hot Mic podcast, and then Jax said, please, for the love of God, Alex Baskin, come on my In the Mind of a Man podcast. Is that what it's called? In the Mind of a Man.
Yeah, something like that.
In the Mind of a Man. And Alex Baskin says, okay, I will do that. And he got on, and then they talked about Jax brought up the real reason why he thought he was fired after season 8 of Vanderpump Rules. And It sounds like Alex Baskin confirmed it. And it's sort of what you would think. So they both bring up the beach day. Do you remember that beach day?
Yep.
8th season. I think Max was like, let's clean up a bunch of, what are those 6-pack
like the rings.
those 6-pack rings. He goes, let's cut those rings so that the turtles don't get their heads
I
stuck.
cut those into smithereens.
Me too. So he goes, let's go to a Malibu beach and cut some of those things off. And Jax was texting him, really pissed off, saying, why would we go to Malibu on a Wednesday at 2 p.m. when we could have this same scene, this is all fourth wall break, this same scene in a park next to my house. We are not driving all the way to Malibu
He
for
said
this.
it's worse for the environment to drive to Malibu than to clean up the beach.
He did. And now that wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world, because that's kind of like Jax could just say that at any time. He hates driving. It adds to his personality. It's not that far off from what we would come to expect from Jax. But then what they revealed is that Jax went on a tirade and started texting all of the other cast members to not show up to Malibu, to like make a stand against them requiring them all to film Malibu. So he was texting everyone, and then Alex Baskin got wind of it because the cast members started to send Jax's text to them, and they're like, at this point now, Jax is not only not participating, like he's avoiding call times, he's not going to shoots, he's being a diva, but now he's trying to sabotage production for other people and other scenes.
Yeah.
So it's spread out from just him, and they said at that point he needed to eat some humble pie. So
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because I think, does Brittany end up showing up? And she's like, sorry, like I just couldn't get him to come. He was being a real monster about it. And I think they maybe, if I remember correctly, some people do talk about that he texted them all pissed off.
yeah, they do talk about it, but I think that for production, it was it was too much for him to actively be also telling the cast members to revolt.
Yeah.
He was trying to create a cast rebellion on
Yeah.
this Malibu beach day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can you imagine like how bad he would have to be for them to sacrifice like the greatest psycho of all time?
Seriously, that bad. To the point where he was trying to get the cast to not participate in Vanderpump Rules in a way that they all desired. So anyway, a little bit of that. That was it though for my news. Anything else that you thought about?
Yeah, I think that was it. We were talking about I saw that some of the Valley people went to some event. What was this thing that everybody was at the other day?
iHeart Awards.
Oh, the iHearts, because everyone has a podcast now. And I just liked there's a comment on Janet. I think it was like Queens of Bravo posted a lineup of what Janet was wearing, what Brittany was wearing, and what Michelle was wearing. And someone said, now I don't know shit about fashion, but who is styling the Valley girls? And Janet goes, no one, LOL. We are not the Kardashians. We are real and raw. And if we hired stylists and did all the fake shit, y'all would hate on that too. I'm just like, why is she in the comments?
I don't know. Well, I have a lot of things to say. Would people hate if they dressed
Looked good?
if and you didn't know they had a stylist? No, I'm not even being mean.
Those
I'm
girls
just
on the
saying.
Valley are so fake.
Yeah, right. It's like no, but also though I have a thing about fashion. Can I say it?
Please.
I think people, bless you. I think people, if they hate the person or if they love the person, they will let the fashion rules fall either by the wayside or in support of them. Well, the thing that brought this to my attention was that Queens of Bravo, which is the best account on the internet.
We have to keep them honorable.
Queens of Bravo is amazing, and I love the digest because it actually is where I get a lot of information. They said that last year when West was trying out some different fashions, people said, I love this man more than life itself. This man dresses like a king. Joan Rivers would be so happy if she saw what he was wearing. You just couldn't be more rapturously received. And then this season, arguably, he dresses better and even cooler. He looks fucking cool as hell. And they're all like, this guy sucks. Look at this. You can't pull that off. Don't wear a scarf on your head. This shit sucks. And it's because he's taking fashion, not even risks, but he just looks there's more creativity, and if people hate you, they'll say your creativity is shit.
Yeah.
And if they love you, they'll say it's the best thing in the world. And I think that's with everything, but I'm just noticing now, like, I didn't think Michelle looked like so bad.
Yeah.
But I don't have a fashion
She was
mind.
definitely the least offensive of the three, but
But you know what I mean? If Kim Kardashian, even with all the stylists and teams in the world and like Vogue people probably styling her, if you ate Kim Kardashian enough, you'll be like, that's the shittiest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Kardashian.
Yeah, people say Kardashian. You could just imagine somebody saying that on the red carpet.
Yeah.
I wish so badly you and I were red carpet fashion
You do?
correspondents. I would
Move
love
over,
it.
Giggly Squad.
Oh, were they?
That
were they
went
fashion?
so well for them.
Were they fashion?
Well, it was the red carpet. I guess not. They weren't specifically there to speak on fashion.
Well, I would never. I would obviously
Immediately canceled.
Yeah, I'd probably get canceled within 7. No, I would be so innocuous. I would go, I'd go, lady in
Looky
red.
here.
I'd go, red outfit. I'd go, whoa, I love this tux. Lapels, they're huge. White shirt under. You look crisp as hell. Good job, Michael Fassbender.
Looking red hot.
Red outfit, red hot. I love it. Next, please. No, but it's just. Do you agree with me? If you hate someone,
That's true. I I try and be objective because every now and again someone that you hate does slay, and it's like you have to grit your teeth and be like, damn,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I just thought it was funny that she was trying to elevate them to a level, and I was like, first of all, don't compare yourself to the Kardashians. They worked their way through the trenches, through the muck and the mire of where you started,
Yeah.
and got to where they are today.
Yeah. They were booed at a Clippers game. I always talk about it. Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. To be compared to that, and it's also it's not indicative of any like raw.
We're raw. We dress like shit.
Yeah, it's like you could. Some people dress amazing. They have full accounts dedicated to that, where it's like dress amazing on a budget. Do you have $35? You know what I'm talking about? Like, have you seen those accounts?
Also, I think that we can all agree that we have goodwill towards Brittany, and that she
course.
very much needs help in this department.
Yeah, and I always say this, but I would probably do like once a month have a stylist come in and say, this is shit, I love this. Get some black pants, get a different type of shirt, and then just if you don't want to hire them 24/7, just get some incremental styling tips.
I mean, it's so out of control. Like we're going to talk about Beverly Hills, and that I feel like Beverly Hills was an early adopter of the outrageous fashions, which is really fun. Like it's so ridiculous. Like on this trip that they're on, like everyone is so dressed to the nines. I feel like Erica was one of the first to do like the nuts confessionals, which I'm like, give me something to look at. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, me too. Did Beverly Hills start the permeation of glam squads?
Maybe.
Right? Like
I mean, I feel like it probably, I don't know when it changed on a dime, but like I'm assuming it started more for like certain kinds of events, and then eventually it flipped to be anytime you're on camera at all. But no, I mean, but I can't imagine how overwhelming it would be to get cast if you're not someone like that already, to have to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what Jennifer Pedranti has to deal with.
Yeah.
She was not at all in a way could not, I don't want to say could not, but was not ready to compete in the fashion arena with these entrenched people who have endless amounts of wealth, some of them, to contribute to their fashion. So she immediately had to get like, we were saying it, like Giuliani, or like she was getting different, they accused her of having a bunch of fake.
What is Giuliani in replacement of?
I forget what it was. It was sorry. What are those fake fashion brands? There's like Alfani, right, for Armani. Have you ever seen that? Not Giuliani. I'm sorry. But and remember,
I would just wear Giovanni,
of course,
through and through.
But they immediately started ripping her to shreds.
Yeah.
And then they did the worst thing, not to get all like high and mighty,
as if like
offensive.
anyone is particularly fashionable on OC anyways.
No. But then Heather Dubrow started to make fun of her when she got that lemon dress for $400. It's like she can't spend money and she can't buy fake shit to wear around you.
Yeah.
But all this to say, Janet.
To recap, Jennifer Pedranti.
No, Janet, I think that that fashion, if someone really loved you, they would have said that was great. Brittany, we always are hoping the best for Brittany, and then Michelle, you
Bless
killed
her
it.
heart.
Oh, and okay, well that was we conclude that, right?
That's that. I'll just say, Janet, I forget who it was. Some other person at iHeart wore the same brown dress that looks like it's falling off at the hip as Janet. So she, if she did have a stylist, they maybe would have known that someone else pulled the same thing.
True. That would be so true. Ariana Maddox, one of our
she was there.
friends, showed up with Dan, and I think she said something very emphatically wonderful about Dan, that the headlines were going around. It was something like, I know that this was like meant to be, or something. So people are latching onto that, being like, holy shit, Ariana and Dan have moved to this next level of their relationship.
They asked her if she dreams of basically like marriage or family or something like that? And she said, yes, sometimes.
Wow. So that was huge. iHeart got a lot of exclusives. They got that Janet exclusive outfit and comment, and then they got Ariana commenting on her relationship with
Yeah.
Dan.
Do we think once and for all that her reticence to be wed was because she never fully trusted Sandoval or thought that he'd be a good life partner?
I think you posited that a few times during season 11 and season 10, and I think it's quite possible that when she imagined the future, there were some things about Tom Sandoval's behavior that worried her to a degree to which she wasn't ready to maybe make those next
Yeah.
steps with him
Yeah.
in particular.
Yeah, I kind of am feeling, I mean, easy to say now because they literally broke up, but Paige and Craig, like her resistance to it, I think is just that indescribable thing of like, it's not right.
Yeah, like if it scares you when you think about it.
Yeah, like she was just like, it's not happening. But
Yeah.
I bet if she met someone tomorrow who was right, that she would be like, I'll make time for this in a way that works for me.
Yeah, Craig in that trailer we didn't mention, he says that Paige just sent a bunch of his shit and it landed on his porch, all of his New York shit.
Damn.
What kind of stuff do you think was in there?
His car, what's that thing? The club.
Oh, you mean a club? You mean that thing that stops your car from working?
Yeah, it like protects it from being stolen.
Oh, you think he had
Which
that?
I don't know why he would have that in New York, but it was the first item that came to my head.
Yeah, and probably other shit too. Clothes.
A candle.
Oh, a candle. Well, if you, Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs, if you can imagine what Craig got shipped to his porch by Paige, let us know.
He barely got to father that cat.
I know. Daphne could have been a thing that Paige said, I love my life so much. And when Craig didn't put treats in that machine, which we're going to get to, it's quite possible that she said, my future involves Daphne and it doesn't involve someone who doesn't give treats to Daphne.
Yeah, they never talked about that Craig was a cat daddy. That was like one of his best features historically in my opinion.
True. Okay. Now, why don't we, you and I, have a little bit of fun for once in our lives?
Let's do this.
And talk about the latest episode of Summer House. This shit was called Shipwrecked. And
yeah, two at sea titles this week.
Oh my God, Bravo. Well, it's probably two different production companies, but they were loving oceanic puns this week. And this one, instantly, when you say shipwrecked, I knew without a shadow of a doubt what it was referring to. Did you as well?
The party theme?
Yeah, and that ship. And I want to say up front, Summer House is ripping like a ship. It looks like someone put a bunch of coal in the furnace, and it is full speed ahead. Right? Don't you think?
Toot toot.
Dude, this thing is like a steamship firing on all cylinders. I'm so happy. I'm realizing, I already said this, but Summer House, that first weekend, you're watching the first two episodes of them getting reacquainted with the house and each other, but they're acquainted now, and everyone is having the time of their lives. We get this wonderful party. We get Craig coming back into the house and the awkwardness with Kyle that we're going to see addressed.
Yep.
And we get more Paige and Craig runoff from that Australian dinner conversation.
Yes. And no Lindsay Hubbard. I can relax for once.
Yeah, no Lindsay.
Carl can have fun.
We got to see Carl have a romantic spark with
Yes.
someone named Lil.
Yeah.
So this was good. Did you enjoy this episode of Summer House?
I did.
Okay, me
Yes.
too.
So yeah, it starts in the city. Everybody's picking each other up. Wes picks up Jesse and Emerald. Craig and Paige pick up Gabby. And like Gabby's forced for once to hang out with the other people in the group since Lindsay's gone.
Yeah, when Jesse picks up West goes, I just saw a dog wearing sunglasses. And I said to myself, only in New York.
Seriously.
You know what I mean?
That place is buck wild.
A dog with sunglasses.
There's outside of the Mets stadium, there's a dog that's always there, like a pit bull that wears a hat, sunglasses, and has a little corn cob pipe, and you can get your picture with him.
Outside of MetLife?
Yeah, is that what it's called?
No, where is that?
Queens?
Wow. So there's not only this dog that Wes saw randomly, but there's
Maybe it was him.
there's the MetLife corn cob dog too. Jesus Christ. New York, you're going there soon, right?
I have to figure it out.
Okay, well, damn. I mean, I'm just like, holy shit, what is this magical city? Okay. Okay, everyone's getting picked up. They're driving. Apparently, this was a bad traffic day. Can I
Yeah.
just say it?
5 hours.
5 hours. They went from that
Sucks.
4th of July trip where it was going to be an hour and 45 minutes. 5 hours. They're all complaining about how
Yeah.
horrible it was.
I would leave like the night before.
Me too. Me too. Have they ever done
Do they
that?
like demand that they get the shot of them driving in during the day?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't think about their horrible traffic.
Yeah.
When they get to the house, like, oh my God, I would be so pissed if I
Yeah.
just. Okay, and then Craig is informing Gabby about sort of what she missed, Craig and Paige both. And Craig goes, I was called a liar on Watch What Happens Live. And he goes, I am not, that is not one of the main attributes of me in any way, right?
Yeah, right. You wish. And he's like, I don't get why it's my problem, to work with another spritz brand or whatever. And he goes, Kylie and Kendall are sisters and they have rival drinks or whatever, but I think they're in cahoots.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for you to tell me what the hell was going on because I know Kylie had that a tequila 385. I'm sorry.
818.
818 Kindle tequila because I remember from Beverly Hills,
Yeah.
Lisa Rinna said, "I want the rival." Was it Lisa Rinna wanting a rival tequila against
Yeah.
Kathy's?
Yeah. Yeah. And then Kylie has like a canned drink, like a lover boy situation. But there was I was watching an episode like a week or two ago where they were like doing drink events together. But I'm like, I mean, I guess that supports his theory that they are working together with rival alcohol brands.
But when you think about liquor and beer and wine, you can have both of those together.
Yeah.
I would love to drink Kylie's Spritz and then follow it with a huge shot of Kendall's tequila. Whereas if Kendall and Kylie both had rival tequila brands, you're not setting those two things up together at a booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take one shot of yours and then one shot of yours and then go back and forth.
Right.
Those are supplementary.
Right.
Complementary.
Yes.
So Craig, but
is he a little Kardashian head? I wonder. Does he keep up?
He must be a total Kardashian head. But I also, in a way, I'm like, I guess with Craig out of it now and knowing he's not in it and not thinking about Loverboy all the time, I am kind of like, I don't know. Is Kyle making too big of a deal about it now that Craig wanted to be a Spritz Society person for like one ad? Is he on the board of it?
Yeah.
I haven't heard him talk about it once.
I need to see them go through the details next week
Me too.
because yeah, we don't really have a full understanding, but it sounds like it was more about the way that Craig went about it and like it sounds like he set it up to be a potential partnership with Loverboy, and then they blinked and he had already like posted about Spritz Society.
Right, just like you. Once I hear the details, I'll be pissed off again. You know what I mean? But hearing it from Craig, it makes me sort of be like, oh, is it such a big deal? But once I hear it from Kyle, I'll probably be like, oh my God, what the hell was Craig thinking?
Do you think that after this, whatever happens here and the Southern Charm reunion where Craig looks a little rough and tumble, do you think that I guess I'll ask you that you are a huge Craig supporter. Do you think that the internet that was like just had him riding high for the past year or two saying that he was like this like saintly, recovered, beautiful man who was so much better than all the other men and was so wonderful? Do you think that people are feeling like a little less confident in their stance these days?
So I think Craig will always have his staunchest defenders and supporters, of which I am one. But if Paige gets some good shots on him as to his character, which one of them is that Craig was texting people during the relationship, if that's true in any way, that's going to be very hard for Craig to battle against, because that's kind of one of the biggest clearly defined lines in the Bravo universe. If he's texting someone, I'm not 100% sure. We need to hear the full accounting of that. But my instinct is that might not be what it was. Paige might have just said that in a moment of pique. Yeah. And Craig will just still always have his people like me in his corner, always wishing the best for him, no matter what.
He's not giving cheater to me. I'll
Me
say
neither.
that.
He
But
was so enamored of Paige.
yeah, and we'll get into it, their conversation at the end of this episode. But it really still just feels like ships in the night. No one really to blame, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So they're arriving. Carl authorizes a huge thing to come to the house, but he won't tell us yet. When he's in the car with West and Jesse and Emerald, they talk about how they used to bark like dogs last summer, and
Yeah.
they might do it again. And they start barking. And then Carl talks about what his theme for the party is, or that he wants to have a nautical themed party. And he said, I'm from Pittsburgh. And in addition, he doesn't say this, but he says, our team is the Pirates. So I want a full pirate themed party for this thing.
Yeah.
But I also wanted him to enlighten us on the cake eater origin. I
I
thought that would
know.
have been the perfect time for him to say, also in Pittsburgh, we get called, middle class kids get called cake eaters if they seem like they have too much money. People say you look like a cake eater, but
Yeah, he should have a Marie Antoinette party next year.
I think so too.
But yeah, all the guys are making it the game plan this weekend to get him laid. He said that he invited a girl he met in his DMs who's a yoga instructor. And Wes says, let's find your pirate's booty.
Oh, right. Right. Like, I guess booty is like treasure, and then, but also, yeah, you could imagine it being like a
Go on.
some kind of reference to sexuality or something. But yeah, they want to get Carl to have sex, and that person Lil slid into his DMs. You said that?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
that's what he said.
Yep.
Okay, they arrive. Lindsay Hubbard is with her baby daddy's family this weekend. The front door is more fucked up than ever. It's gotten worse. It's regressed. I don't understand what the issue is.
Did you see what was waiting for them at the doorstep?
Uber Eats.
8 bags of Uber Eats stuff just filled with like the essentials. Candy.
They get a delivery later and they go, Uber Eats.
Uber Eats. What a perfect seamless.
Not seamless. Uber Eats.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry to say that. No, perfect integration for Uber Eats to just deliver food every single minute to the summer house and then get those big green bags
Yes.
on camera. I love that. And we didn't say this, but they want to set up a little quick birthday surprise for Amanda because I believe her birthday was the previous Wednesday.
Mhm.
Nobody celebrated her. So they have candies, balloons.
Have they done big blowouts for Amanda's birthday in the past?
I was so surprised. I said to myself, Amanda has a birthday in the summer?
Well, I literally just sent my friend, we were talking about like horoscopes, and Lindsay Hubbard is a Leo and Kyle is a Leo, and I think Amanda is like, what's the one closest to that? Before
Shit, I don't know. Should I look it up really quick?
because anyways, I had just had this conversation about that. We were like, oh shit, her birthday's in the summer. Like we talked about it like 2 days before I watched this, and then we were like, how come they never celebrate her birthday? And then they did, but in a sort of like low key way.
You and I, though, are going to get hit with some compilation of like the 20 times they've celebrated Amanda's birthday.
I have no
the-
confidence in that
the-
statement.
the
I just don't
seasons.
remember.
Me neither. My daughter's a Leo, in addition
wow.
to Lindsay and Kyle.
She's gonna be a Spitfire.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Are horoscopes real?
I feel like the Leo one is usually pretty accurate. Isn't Vicky Gumbelson like a triple Leo?
And she's a bit of a Spitfire?
Wouldn't you say?
So then.
She's a July Leo, and Kyle is an August Leo, and so is Lindsay. So all three of them are Leos, but Amanda is July, which people are saying means something a little bit different.
Oh, okay. The summer heat hasn't fully heated up the Leo spirit, whereas
Right.
Lindsay and Kyle get that full Leo energy, right?
Fire.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Kyle and Amanda pull up. They go, what drink should she have really quickly? And they get her a limoncello, like shot, or a drink right to have. Kyle's pissed because of the worst traffic of the summer. They pop in. And then there is just a bunch of fun stuff for Amanda to look at when she gets.
I liked when so Craig is there and he's like he sees the sonogram for the first time on the mantle and he's like, oh whoa, there's a sonogram. He's like, that really makes it real. And Carl goes, well, it's not mine.
Yeah, that was very fun. I like that too. Yep. And then when they walk in, also, it's awkward because Craig is in the living room still staring at that sonogram. He can't take his eyes off it. But then he also, it looked like he wanted to make things good with Kyle immediately when Kyle walked in. But Kyle is not looking towards him in the living room. And Craig, really quietly, he goes, I guess you're just going to leave me hanging over here. Kind of like sadly to himself, he says.
Yeah, it's awkward. Kyle in his confessional is like, I feel lied to and hurt. We'll salvage what's possible, mostly just so it doesn't affect Amanda and Paige. So I think they both are like, I don't really give a shit about this guy. I don't really want to be his friend, but our wife/girlfriend cannot be affected by this. It's too big of a deal.
Yeah.
And then we get, because Lexi's gone, there's a lot of West and Jesse shenanigans this episode. Physical comedy, BFF goofball. They're like doing handstands together. At one point they push the beds together.
Yes.
It's full fun.
You and I did that handstand thing right when you came here today. Do you remember?
We do it every time.
Yeah, it is so fun. Carl at one point goes, Kyle, I'm noticing that there's not drinks in the cooler. I think we should fill the cooler with drinks. And Kyle goes, that sounds like a great idea.
Carl is always like in the background keeping shit afloat.
Totally.
He also tells us the first time that his company is starting to move forward. He has the trademark. He says it for the first time here on the show. Soft Bar, a mindful consumption cafe. He goes, when I originally had the idea, because when he originally told Lindsay, he was calling it like a non-alc sports bar.
Yeah.
To which she was like, absolutely not. And he says, thank you, Lindsay, because actually I refined my idea and I think it's better now. And Kyle is like, well, you as a founder can understand why I'm so pissed off about the Craig stuff, because we work so hard, sweat, blood, and tears,
Yes.
that it's very personal when someone messes with your business. It's not just business.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, that's what Bethany wrote a book about? Business is personal.
Wow.
Doesn't she say that sometimes?
She has so many books.
Business is personal.
A Place of Yes.
Come from a place of, a place of yes. The margarita, what was that one? It's called the skinny margarita.
Decision.
She should, the next one, we say this all the time, but a book called The Bethany Clause about all of the decisions that led up to her getting that sacred
that I would
contract.
buy. Have you been seeing, I think you've sent to me or I've sent to you or both, that guy that's doing the Bethany recap of the day?
One of our Villa Rosa VIPs, thankfully, put that on our radar. I have yet to watch it yet.
It's great. He just goes, he'll be like, today, 14 videos.
Wow.
He'll be like, she tried tuna first, then she did her makeup, then she went on a rant about such and such, then she went to dinner with Bryn, then she ate a chicken salad. Like, so I always knew that I thought I was exaggerating when I would be telling you that she was posting a dozen times a day, but she literally is.
I think I would like that because it's like a Bethany digest.
It's like Queens of Bravo for Bethany's TikTok.
Oh man, that's such a great
The
idea.
sad part is I get served most of them.
Yeah,
and I watch them
Did she go to dinner with Bryn?
all the time.
Bryn Whitfield?
No, her daughter.
Oh,
Hoppy.
oh, I'm so sorry, Bryn Hoppy. Of course she goes to dinner
Sorry,
with her
I'm
daughter.
so in the weeds with Bethany that I'm in the shorthand. I know what's going on, but my algorithm, I don't even follow her, but I get probably at least 5 a day from her.
Oh, I got to get back in. I miss.
She's
Bethany.
she's pissed off right now because a brand used her like organic endorsement and used it as like paid advertising.
I saw it.
And she's so mad. No, not the one, not L'Oreal.
Oh,
That has to be sanctioned because it's on like actual TV.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But that crossed my mind too. I was like, that is wild that her TikToks are just, everyone's like, I need a piece of this.
She's like, I love this L'Oreal stuff. Look at me use it. And it was just her TikTok on an ad.
I know. But someone else did that like without permission. And she
Whoa.
made like a million videos about how she's coming for them.
Oh,
She
man.
says you're gonna pay.
I can't even imagine being on the wrong side of Bethany with
Fuck no.
legal shit. Oh my God. Soft bar, before we move forward, I had to ask a couple questions. So the difference between his version of soft bar and the version he proposed to Lindsay is that one was like a sports bar, and this is more of like a cocktail, refined bar, luxury bar, right? Whatever
Yeah.
those are called.
I don't really get it. Like, I don't really get what this place will be, frankly.
Well, I could imagine that in the non-alc space, if you had a full place dedicated to like drinks that were supposed to approximate cocktails, like you would make really beautiful versions using like a bunch of like ingredients, and then you would just be getting like one of the best non-alcoholic drinks of your life.
Yeah.
With skilled bartenders who can make it look cool and stuff. My last question about soft bar is, if you do take a bite out of the Big Apple, will you go as a Turtle Time mission to pop in?
Yeah, is it open?
Yeah, I think so.
It's in Greenpoint.
Let me check on that. I'll send you the details. But if you just did a pop in, I think it would be one of the coolest things in the world. We talk about it
'Cause
for weeks.
My sister lives near there. I'll totally walk on over, even though it is the opposite of what I want because I want alcohol.
This is so offensive, but I was going to say you could just do one drink there.
Yeah.
Say, I love it. Say hi to Carl. Tell him Turtle Time is a huge fan of his. And then walk out, and then you could go to possibly
Yeah.
get drunk after.
I remember when he was on Nick Viall, Nick was like, is it like a BYOB situation? And Carl's like, no.
BYOB. You mean like it's a space
I want
for
everyone
you
to
to
be
bring your...
drunk, but I don't want to make money. Like, please.
That's funny. Yeah, it's a space for people to bring their own alcohol or non-alcoholic drinks and sit around at it. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I guess I need to know more about, like, is it open all day? Is it like a place you could go work, or is it like truly like elevated in the sense that it's more like after hours, or you know what I mean? Because if there's no alcohol, I imagine that it could be, and he's calling it a cafe, so that implies like potentially like coffee too.
Yeah.
So I need to look into this.
Me too. Well, that's why I would love for you
Because
to
if it was open all day, like Brooklyn loves a coffee shop or whatever. Like if people could just post up all day and buy like an $8 coffee during the day, that could support the money that he's losing by not serving booze.
Right, by having it in tandem, it's those wonderful drinks and also
Yeah.
coffee. Yeah, I can't even imagine, but it's, have you ever sidled up to like a really nice bar? Like at a nice fancy bar?
What do you mean? Have I sidled up?
I'm like, what's the nicest bar? I haven't been to, I guess, a nice bar with expensive drinks in a really long time. But I could just imagine for people who either don't want to drink for any reason,
Yeah.
it might be nice to have an elevated space. Like I was like
Mhm.
the Regency, but that's not, I don't know how elevated that is. But like a place where somebody, like imagine PK. He goes to New York. He goes, I don't want to drink.
Yeah.
I don't want to drink vodka, but I still want the luxury
Mm-hmm.
that I miss.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not just ordering some shitty phony Negroni at what the hell was that place that they ordered at?
Drake's. Or something.
Drake's.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I want to go to that. I want to have that luxurious experience, but order like it's the wildest drink you've ever seen in your life with no alcohol
Yeah.
in it.
I'm just like 9 times out of 10 when I go out now, there's a mocktail menu.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. If you go, we'll talk about
I want him to win.
Of
I'm just
course.
like, I'm the worst person for it because I love drinking alcohol and I would refuse to ever pay. I don't even like paying $14 for a cocktail because I'm like,
Yeah.
just give me wine so that I know exactly how much booze is in it. I
Mhm.
know how many I need. I feel like I'm often disappointed by cocktails. I don't really like anything sweet. I'm just like, I've said this before, martini, margarita, Negroni,
Yeah.
like straightforward classics. I don't want like some like elderberry, lavender, whatever. I'm like, nah.
Right. So this is not for you, soft bar.
It's literally not.
But you can imagine a world where like imagine Mr. Big.
I'm trying to imagine a world. I don't know if it exists.
Imagine Mr. Big. He doesn't like.
R.I.P.
Oh, he's dead in that universe. Shit. Okay,
He
Mr. Big.
lost that client.
Mr. Big, before he dies tragically on a Peloton, he doesn't want to drink, but he still wants that Manhattan life.
Wait, why is Mr. Big sober in this universe?
I was thinking of quintessential New Yorkers. Alec Baldwin.
He needs a drink.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move past soft bar, but we do. Of course, we hope the best. But you and I, unfortunately, drink, so this is not an option for us.
It would be a healthy.
It would be better
option.
for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They all are getting into their rooms. Sierra has a little stop at Jesse and West's room. She doesn't go fully in.
Mhm.
But Jesse's talking to her, and West is in the room, and it seems like these kind of small steps to getting Sierra and West, back in a not a good place, but like be able to be around each other. And they talk about it, and Jesse goes, "Did you see what Sierra was doing? How amazing was that? Next stop will be a slumber party between the two of you." And West says, "Stop that! Don't say stuff like that."
Yeah. Jesse is like, I gotta have a conversation with her. I'm caught between two friends. And so he's like, I'm gonna talk to her for you. And then Jesse's trying to get the tea on if West is dating. And he was like, I see your phone. Like, you're getting texts from the same girl all the time. And West is like, that girl lives in Montana. And he's like, but I do love attention. So my phone be staying juicy.
Yeah, I've never heard a phone referred to as that, but it instantly made sense to me.
Yeah.
Like if you picked up his phone at any time, it's being sent with
Yeah.
DMs,
I have to say,
messages.
perhaps he is an F-boy. Okay, like, fine. But watching his life on, he just did a TikTok of like recapping his trip to Korea, and it looked so fun.
Really?
And I'm like, his life seems awesome.
Oh my God, yeah. I think so too. I didn't see that recap of his trip.
He was in Tokyo before that. He was in like the Italian Alps before that. And he just looks like he really has a good time in general and is living it up in his younger single years.
Yeah.
That is making me wistful.
Yeah, I get wistful too. I get wistful now thinking about anybody doing anything, especially watching any Bravo show. The yacht on Beverly Hills. I'm like, oh my God, I want to sit on the edge of a boat looking like
Even
that.
though Kathy was like, the boat trips are not working.
Yeah, but I'm wistful. I still have life ahead of me, but I do think I like getting a peek at what you can do.
There's life in this
universe.
old dog yet.
Yeah, totally. Okay, the pizza is here. This is okay. So everyone said, let's go down from our rooms. Let's eat a little bit of food. Pizza and wings. Uber Eats just brought us a bunch of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
They're playing with this thing that I thought you might be interested in, where it's like a cannon. It's Paige's apartment, and it's a cannon that fires treats at your pet
To draw them to the camera.
Does that mean that Daphne, like, you can do treats and make noises from that machine?
Yeah. I'm a little bit like, does she immediately got Daphne and then leaves her like half of the week every week?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I was also thinking like, because I have an animal. His name is Archie, and I don't like to leave him, but if I did have a machine that was sitting like right here in my living room and I could look at him and all of a sudden I could press a button that said like, hi Archie, hi Archie, hi Archie, and then throw a treat at him, like he'd be having the time of his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I have friends that have cameras for their pets, and I think it would stress me out.
Oh,
like, I don't want to know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to give best case scenario of how much fun a pet could have, but I know deep down in that pet's heart, Daphne's heart, she wishes her mother was with her.
Yeah.
But,
and Sierra has a cat too.
Yeah.
She doesn't talk about him that much.
Yeah. Maybe they don't give Sierra, maybe they don't give the edit enough of
They gave
Sierra.
her an anti-cat edit.
They're just like, we don't show a lot of Sierra's cat for some reason.
Because Hannah, one good thing I liked about her is she talked about her cat a lot.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Sierra talked about her cat when Paige introduced Daphne to us. She goes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, but then this is what is happening at pizza time. There's not a stench. There's an elephant in the room where no one knows if Craig and Kyle have squashed the beef. So they're all on eggshells. It's just, Kyle can't be his full self because he's normally gregarious and would talk to everyone and he'd be making jokes, but he's completely siphoned off because he doesn't want anything to do with Craig. And then Craig's doing a little better because I don't think he he obviously doesn't want to have this conversation now, but he's also like willing to just be normal with Kyle until they have their talk. But Kyle's not ready to do that. And then Jesse comes down, and Jesse really, first Jesse's trying on one of the coolest outfits I've ever seen. Did you see that?
That little set.
Yeah. And they go, Jesse's looking in a mirror waiting to wear the perfect outfit. And then when he comes down, they give him a huge welcome. And they say that outfit was completely worth it. And he thinks they're making fun of him.
It was fine.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. And then they settle down and Jesse goes, I'm so confused. He goes, Sierra, you look amazing, but I'm confused right now. What's going on with Craig and Kyle? Did they squash the beef? Because they're talking about this Amanda cake, where Amanda got a cake, and they're talking about new ways to eat cake based off TikTok. Did you see that?
Stunning stuff.
Yeah, it was like one says you could put a cup.
People keep doing that for gender reveal. Like Madison did that, and then sometimes they'll do it with like a champagne flute, and then the champagne flute will like break under the weight of your hand. I'm like, we got to stop this.
I know. It seems like we perfected it. It's been probably...
Gender reveals are always going haywire.
But that's a cake. That's them opening the cake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was just like the one that he was suggesting said put a cup in the middle of a cake. That's the best piece. Pull that out and then get a bunch of cupped cakes. It's like, I think I haven't cut a cake in a long time, but I feel like cutting it by slice is okay. But Jesse goes, stop everything. Stop talking about that cake. I want to know, did you guys squash the beef over there?
Yeah. Kyle is like, no, we'll talk tonight. He's like, we got to enjoy the weekend. We'll get it over with tonight. And Craig is like, no, I don't want to talk tonight. Let's talk tomorrow. I'm really not feeling it. Like, I'm tired. Let's talk tomorrow. And he's like, no, we'll talk tonight. And he's like, I've asked 3 times to do it tomorrow. Like, he always gets so pissed off.
Yeah. So where do you fall on this? This is the Bravo universe, so we got to think about it in terms of like the camera and entertainment and stuff. But like, to me, it made more sense to address it now, the minute you see each other, and not make it awkward for everyone, and also not even for an audience, from the audience standpoint, not make us wait for a conversation for 2 more episodes. They don't talk
until they're in pirate garb, like midway through the party the next day.
But then I also have to say, I know Craig wants to delay this, and my theory is that he knows Kyle's going to hand him his ass.
Yeah.
So he wants to wait until he's not tired, and he thinks that Kyle is probably better prepared for how to have this conversation than he is, because Kyle has business brain. He's going to talk about EBITDA or whatever that shit was that he talks about. You know what I'm talking about? Final earnings. He's going to have all that shit in his brain. Craig is going to have to do some research to come to head with Kyle. But also, I'm like, in the real world, if I told my friend, I'm so tired, I was just in traffic for 5 hours, I want to have this conversation tomorrow, please, you would allow it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. Amanda keeps going because Kyle's starting to get pissed off, and she goes, it's him. It's not you.
It's him.
It's not you.
It's not you. And I was like, what does that mean? That it's Craig?
I know, and she was saying it in front of everyone, too.
Yeah, I said, what does that mean? It's not you. Meaning, like, you can't do anything about this. Craig is demanding that it's at another time, so you have to abide by that. But then we find out, I won't step on it. But Craig, this is like a negotiation tactic. It's like, have you heard those rules where it's like, tell them you're meeting in like a Holiday Inn at like room 301, and then when they get there, say, we just changed the room to, I forget, this is on a show or something. We changed the room to 302, and it like
yeah,
I think that's on The Office maybe.
Or
but
it's like a Trump's handshake, how he'll like hold your arm and like pull you in and like won't let go.
And then Macron has to like shake it back as hard as he can, and they end up having these 13-minute long handshakes.
It's like that meme where the arms are like grabbing each other.
It totally is. So this is sort of a part of getting Kyle off his access. Maybe Kyle was ready to go. He had the room ready. He had a bunch of documents, and Craig goes, "No, he says at one point, he says, I barely should not even. I shouldn't even be letting you have this conversation with me."
Yeah, he's like, and it should be what do you say? Like I'm the one that I'm in the right, basically.
Yeah.
This is when Kyle goes outside. He's like, this fucking guy, Craig is a fucking psycho.
He goes, he's such a little sucker.
Yeah. But yeah, Amanda's like, I'm so sick of all this. Like, this already happened with Hannah. I would love to avoid something like that from happening again. And then the group is deciding who's going to go out. Emerald says, if we go out, I'll buy the table.
That was awesome.
And
Could
I'm
you
like,
imagine hearing
he
that?
at least, he cleans up.
Yes.
He has sex.
Yep.
And he pays for the bottle service.
Yeah, I think they generally enjoy Emerald. If it was actually a guest that was staying at the house and they weren't required to provide a lot of entertainment value through conflict or through being very, very fun, I think he's a great guest in the house. Like,
Yeah.
I would love. Could you imagine getting a table? He is having fun. I think that they generally like him, whether or not he's the perfect addition to a reality.
Yeah, he
show.
doesn't have very much personality, but
Right.
okay. What Craig had said was this should be on my terms. That Kyle doesn't even deserve this conversation.
He also says Kyle thinks this is going to be a quick thing that we can just like talk about in 5 minutes. It's not going to be quick for
I'm
me.
so set up to not believe a word that Craig says.
I know. He's like, what he has some huge thing that he wants to pull out to
Yeah.
make Kyle look absolutely ridiculous in this conversation.
Yeah. Then they do the thing where people are out at the club and they show everyone in bed, like snoring or whatever, and they show Craig picking his nose.
Oh, was that picking nose?
Yeah.
I wanted to give him benefit of the doubt. I thought maybe he was scratching the top of his
His
nose.
finger was in there.
Really? That wouldn't happen on Southern Charm. That's only Summer House CCTVs.
He let go of his persona.
Only Summer House, which doesn't have a deference to Craig, would show him picking his nose in bed.
Yeah. They show Gabby, Carl, Emerald, and Jesse and West coming home. Everyone's pretty lit. West makes some Kraft Mac. Jesse pulls their beds together. West is like, I could not be happier. I feel like we're renewing our vows. Lexi can never take this away from me. And they're just happy to be romantic again.
They're so happy. Saturday morning comes around, and Paige doesn't feel very well at all. She goes, I'm sick. My arms hurt. I need help. Right?
Yep. She's like groaning. Craig talks about the Kyle shit again. He says that he's in a really weird position to hang out with a guy who said all this crazy shit about me. And he's like, if I didn't have to come to the Hamptons for you, I would probably just like never see him again.
Yeah, and it is true. No matter what we think about Kyle versus Craig and the nuances of their negotiation shit for the rival competing liquor brands, Kyle did have the most vocal antagonism towards Craig that you can point to by just calling him a liar on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah.
We haven't heard one thing that Craig said about Kyle back to him that was like offensive or mean-spirited.
Right.
Kyle called him a liar.
Well,
I know, but it's like Kyle said something. Like Kyle made it a bigger thing.
Yeah.
You know, in this feud.
yeah. We also get like a juicy little tidbit where Paige says, I'm already annoyed with Craig because of stuff that we have going on. And now there's this added situation that I don't want to deal with. And so I'm like, what's the tea?
Yeah, I was really surprised that was like a huge revelation that Paige is pissed at Craig. I thought that she would be so aligned with Craig this weekend because Kyle already made her mad, and so she would be like pushing back on Kyle even more because now Craig is there to defend himself as well. But she's pissed at Craig.
Yeah.
And she alludes to the fact that it's the Australian restaurant stuff.
Yeah.
She says that because he said, "Will you please make me a priority on your tour?" Paige got really pissed that that's the first thing he was thinking about when this is like the best example of her career going really well. And the last thing she wants to think about is if she's making Craig number one while she's doing this like huge tour.
Yeah. She's like, he's not realizing that he's making me anxious. So yeah, I think she's not feeling that full, unfettered support that she would need in this big moment. And also, I think that she was like head over heels for him for a long time. And I think that that sheen is starting to wear away and she's starting to see things underneath that she doesn't like. And she's starting to get the ick, I think.
Yeah, she keeps remembering those Winter House clips that they keep showing.
Yeah.
Those are basically Paige remembering those things. Jesse wakes up and he does a classic prank on West. More examples of their camaraderie with Lexi out of the house. He pours a big thing of water on West, and West wakes up and he goes, "No way." He can't believe that he did that.
Time to go swimming. We get to see that Carl rented this big ass pirate ship, which was a fun addition. It felt like I was like, finally, here's the parties that we've been hearing about for all these years.
Yes, we needed one, not shitty, but low-level party to start off the season, and then now we're in the epic party territory. They have that. I didn't even know this. They have a scary one coming up where West is in a coffin and stuff. Did you see that? There's
no.
clips of a really scary one. I think Paige is dressed up. I hope I'm not just like, I didn't just dream this. I'm almost positive they have a really scary party coming up
shit.
later too.
Okay.
So yeah, this thing is awesome. And he also got a sea cootery spread,
Yeah.
which has clams, lobsters, shrimp. Right? Am I missing
I know
anything?
that that's like par for the course. Like Hamptons, it's all on ice. It looks very above board, but there's something about like
I
I'd
know.
be scared.
I was worried. I was thinking of it's like that's the last thing that maybe you'd want to eat. You'd have to eat that within the first like 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to have a huge issue.
We get a segment of Amanda working on her swimsuit line. She's trying on the samples. Gabby's giving her advice on the patterns and stuff. And Gabby is forced to say something nice about Carl. She goes, I hope that he's happy this weekend. I've never even experienced him outside of his relationship with Lindsay. So, you know, I want to see him turn up and have some fun.
Yeah, and she goes, him hitting on someone will be like watching a little baby take their first steps. I actually enjoyed Gabby's presence this episode so far. I like that she went out and partied. It seemed like they all had fun with her. This scene with Amanda was pretty nice, and overall, I think she's just having fun. I think she's I guess you would always think that she's like tied to Lindsay and she can't have any fun without her being there. But it actually seems like Lindsay might be a hindrance for Gabby's growth within the group because it seems like they all get along with Gabby and enjoy her.
Yeah, I like that they were all like, how does your costume relate? She was like, I'm Halle Berry coming out of the ocean in that James Bond movie. And they're like, okay.
I loved that. Do we have to
They
talk?
thought she was a Flintstone.
Yeah, they thought that she was. Which Flintstone is that? We've talked about
Oh
that.
my God, not this again.
I think Betty Rubble.
Trouble.
Who's that?
Betty Rubble Trouble.
What's that again?
From Ocean's 11.
Oh, right. Do we want to talk about the workout
No,
stuff?
no. It's just more sex talk. They want to get Carl laid. The end.
Yeah, and also they say Kyle sets up kind of stakes for the party. He says, "Did Lexi tell you Jesse be good this weekend?" And he goes, "More or less. She said, please be on your best behavior." And Kyle says, "This might be your last opportunity to look at the field of people you could possibly date before the exclusivity clause goes into effect." And Jesse goes, "Please don't talk about this party like that."
Yeah. Okay, then in the pool back home when they get back, Jesse, we talked about this before, but he keeps like getting all over Sierra, and at one point her legs are like on his legs, and he's like, "This is kind of turning me on." And she goes, "What?" And he goes, "Sorry, you're a 10."
Yeah. Yeah, and then he starts bouncing up and down on the float, kind of doing these like moves where he puts his feet up in the air. And I was like, oh my God, if you don't stop, you might fall on top of Sierra. I was worried. And then
It's like in Austin Powers when he's like, "Oh, I've fallen. Oh no."
Yeah, it really was. It really was. It brings me back to watching like American Pie and Austin Powers.
He needs to chill.
And the stuff that you and I grew up with, where it was like, well, maybe me, but it was more like guys. It was like, I don't know. Jesse's like, yeah, doing a bunch of stuff. They kind of cut away, and then all of a sudden you look back and he's just on top of Sierra.
I know.
And she goes, "You're nutty."
Yeah, she doesn't seem bothered, frankly. She's like, "Oh no." Like she's also like, "Oh, I could never. And she says, she's like, we definitely flirt all the time. And she's 90% sure that if the opportunity presented itself, that he would take it. She doesn't say about her
Yeah.
end. She says she doesn't think of him that way, but she certainly doesn't seem to mind.
I think, this. I don't think this is so wild to say. I think Sierra is moderately attracted to Jesse
Yeah.
and enjoys their chemistry, their flirtation. She likes to also be like, that would never happen again. I'm never going to date a guy in the house after
Do you
how
think
I've been.
there's any part of her that does it to piss off Wes too?
Um, I think, and I could be wrong. Everybody chastise me and say, Riley, you're wrong. But I just think there's something about Jessie that it's a perfect match for Sierra. She enjoys that kind of silly humor. And I don't see it as getting back at Wes, because I don't think that she would think that Wes would care that much
Yeah,
at this
I don't
point. It
think
might
he
make her
even
even
does.
more sad, to know that Wes doesn't care at
Right.
all. He's really,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like Wes gives a shit. He didn't even care when remember they were kissing. Like Sierra and,
Oh, yeah.
if I remember correctly,
That was
Sierra
when
and
they were still. It was like she kissed both of them, I think.
yeah, and I don't think that Wes is I don't think he seems jealous at all, especially now.
No.
So I think that this is its own thing. It's
Yeah.
its own journey, and we're
She
going to see.
said last week she loves a goof, like a dumb MFer.
Yeah, and their silly humor. They're doing even more than just this ship. They're creating a wonderful tarp ocean with mulch. There's going to be a little island. There's going to be rafts in it. It's like more to the theme of a shipwrecked party.
Yes. Let's see. It's like, yeah, the party's popping. Sierra, like right before it starts, she rings a bell. She's like, ring the bell for Carl and putting this party together. And Jesse's like, ring the bell to his wiener getting some action. And then she drops the bell and it breaks.
Yeah, and everyone goes, that's a horrible omen for Carl's possibly having sex.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
Yes. And then Amanda and Paige commiserate that they are annoyed with their men over this situation. And Paige confides in Amanda that she is annoyed that Craig is worried about their relationship during this busy work time. And then she reveals something that he had said before, where he said, I just never thought I'd be in this submissive of a relationship. And Amanda's like, that is not good. And she's like, I just know somewhere deep inside me that I'm going to hate Craig while I'm on tour.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that was a huge thing to say, obviously. I didn't realize at the time of the Australian dinner, I think because Paige was in such a good mood and we were talking about the chemistry that they had, I didn't really think that those words that Craig were saying were going to hit so hard for Paige, but they
Yeah.
really did. She pulls out like 3 different things he said that offended her, about
Yeah.
that dinner. So that really had an effect on Paige. It was as loaded as people claimed it to be at the time
Mhm.
of being indicative of how they're not on the same page anymore.
Yes. Sierra outdid herself. She made this insane seagull costume where she painted her whole body, like her legs and arms yellow,
It's
like
awesome.
a paper mache beak, and painted her face white with like black eyes.
The best costumes in Bravo history has to go to
Insane.
Sierra, right?
I love that she's like so stunning. Like she's like the hottest woman on Bravo, and she wears the most like hideous and hilarious costumes that obscure her completely.
Yeah, no, it is amazing. It's now a trend or a thing that we just go to for Sierra. This one is in the top 5 or top 10 that she's ever done. Obviously my favorite will always be when she dressed up like a Na'vi
Yeah.
at the space party, but this one was still so good. Is there anyone that competes with Sierra I mean, I know we have a lot of costumers in the Bravo universe, but who just goes all out where it's like they're the known quantity that they are going to go all the way. I keep getting a flash of Tom Sandoval as that Night King.
Right. No, he's pretty good, although he is still interested in being hot and sexy, which is the thing that most people on Bravo, like, they still have to be hot, whereas she takes it completely into the next level where she no longer is, you don't have to worry about her being attractive.
No, yeah, she like wants to be like a seagull or whatever and doesn't care at all. Yeah, Sierra might be number 1, but if you know any more, who even enters the conversation with Sierra, I would like to know.
Amanda followed in her footsteps and was a parrot. Paige was a classic sexy pirate, so she just had the birds by her side.
What would you have done? I forgot to ask.
I mean, I love the goofballery of what Sierra does, but it looks awful to have to wear.
Yeah. Well, you just mean, I know. That really separates people. The people who do so good at Halloween are the people that are creative, have a lot of time, and care about it. And I don't have any of those things. So I always do the worst possible thing. I don't even celebrate Halloween anymore.
Yeah.
But Sierra has all of those ingredients to make amazing costumes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is one thing to want to make the impression when you first come out, and then you're like, oh shit, I have to wear this.
Yeah. I would be, can I say what I would be?
Yeah.
I would try my best to be Tom Hanks in Castaway holding a volleyball with the bloody hand.
That's fun.
Right?
Yeah.
I'd wear that loincloth. I'd get a wig that had that sun-bleached, beautiful hair, grow out my beard, and then hold a Wilson ball.
That's good.
All right.
And you could even put a strap on the ball so that you don't have to carry it the whole time.
Yeah, because you don't want to be detrimental to your partying. Whereas with Sierra, she goes so into it that she's going to have trouble drinking alcohol through that beak.
Totally. Yeah, Carl has like full black eyes, and that woman joins, and this is the clip we've seen a million times in the trailer where she says he has big lemur energy.
Yeah, when I saw that clip, I always thought that this was someone random that Carl was talking to, and that's why they kind of said that lemur thing, because I don't know if it's the best thing you can hear, that you look like a lemur.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, you slid into his DMs. You liked him.
Yeah.
You've already been talking, but then you wanted to call him a lemur. I thought it was more of like an awkward interaction at first, and maybe like she said the wrong thing or whatever, but like she likes Carl at this point.
Yeah.
It still said he looked like, did she mean a lemur from Madagascar, the movie?
I guess.
Not a reference that I think a lot of people know.
Right. Especially Carl's what, like 35?
Oh, is he 35?
Or is he older? No,
I think
40?
Yeah, I think he's 40.
I don't know why I gave him the young edit.
Oh yeah,
that,
the
but...
lemurs of Madagascar. Yeah, not everybody's gonna know these things. They're kind of like they look like just, you know what I mean? I'm showing Amy. It's just, I mean, they're not that remarkable.
But yeah, Carl is like, I'm awkward and rusty. I'm, getting used to this. Jesse tries to wingman. He takes it like too far. He's like, are you gonna stay here tonight?
You thought too far?
It was a little much.
Yeah, he goes, screw the date. Let's talk about tonight. Are you staying here? And then Lil kind of, burst of energy. She goes, am I staying here? And Carl says, you can. Carl also says that she's been trying to get me to go to hot yoga. And he goes, I want to go on a date before I go on a hot yoga. And I was like, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't want my first interaction with you, 2-hour-long interaction, to be with hot yoga going on in the background where you have to like think
Sounds
about
awful.
it. You know what I mean?
Did you think it was indicative of her having some sort of a future that they like pulled her Instagram photos and stuff?
Yeah, I thought so. I immediately was like, whoa, what if Lil was in the house next season? You know what I mean? If I don't know, because I don't know how perfect I found their chemistry to be at this point, but they definitely gave her a lot of attention, and with the Instagram, and there's a parent connection that they're going to talk about, so it might be more solidified. I guess we'd have to know now when Andy asks Carl if they're still dating at the reunion. If they are, that's huge.
Yeah. As of like any interviews I've heard recently, I don't think he said anything like that, but you never know.
Okay.
Okay, then we get Paige and Craig in the little inflatable boat, and she's joshing on him. She goes, do you feel like a priority right now? And he's like, yes, I do. You made me feel like a priority today. And it was like, it felt a little bit like she was joking, but it felt pretty pointed.
Yeah, a little bit like, chastising him for asking that at the Australian dinner.
Yeah. And he's like, I just don't want to feel forgotten while you're on tour. Like I want to know that there's still a spot for me during all of this busy time. And she's like, my career is so different than when we first met, and I'm not gonna apologize for that, which like I don't think he is trying to, but I guess it's like you almost can't you don't have to say it out loud, but like she's getting a feeling that like
Yeah.
he's starting to resent it, you know?
Yeah, I think Paige is just so nervous about this thing that adding even one more thing to think about, which is her relationship with Craig, is just not something she wants on her plate. And then it really does show that in the end, she makes the decision to go full-hearted towards her career at leaving Craig by the wayside.
Right.
Yeah, so that you have this, that's the start of their talk, right? About their relationship.
Yep. And he's like, I just want to figure out if there's how we're going to check in moving forward, you know, about where we're at. And she's like, I'll give you a yearly review and I'll let you know if you're fired or not. And he's like, ugh.
Yeah, and then all these Paige things, statements that are normally would be tongue-in-cheek or silly if you were watching them and they were still in a relationship, now have so much weight to them because you're like, oh my God, she is going to fire him at their yearly review right around December or, you know, Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So this is July. So we have August, September, October, November. They have 4 months left.
Oh my God. Oh, I hope Craig had fun in those last 4 months. I hope it wasn't too
Tragic.
bad.
Oh my God, I can't wait. It's actually kind of satisfying that we are getting July here, but then as of next week on Southern Charm,
Yes.
we'll get the breakup. So we get like, we're going to be working at different timelines. We get a treat a little sooner than we would if we only had Summer House.
Yeah, totally. It's like we go back in time on Southern Charm, and then we get to go forward in time to see the last piece of it. It's very interesting. It's like you don't watch Marvel movies, but it really is sort of. They're all like interconnected in the timelines.
Quantum of Madness or whatever the fuck that movie's called.
Quantum of Madness. Yeah. It's totally. It's called Ant-Man Quantum of Malice. There's this one trope I have to call out on Bravo where it's when two people are fighting, they'll always make it seem like people hear them. And at this one on the raft, Craig and Paige are talking, and Craig goes, "That's unfair of you to say, Paige," and he's not even yelling at all. And they have Kyle from across the party go, like, look at it as if
like
Craig
birds
just
fly.
as if Kyle just heard Craig say that's unfair and a fight is erupting. You know they're just pulling any clip they had of anybody turning their head to make it seem like the fight is more meaningful than it was, and it wasn't at all. Craig barely even spoke loudly at all.
Do you think they have like junior editor, like assistant editor, pull everyone making a face of any kind, and then they select which one they want?
There is definitely an assistant editor that is just in charge of pulling reactions and timestamping them and saying, look at the face that Sierra made when Jesse said this.
She's like, huh?
Yeah, so great. I mean, did we recap the shit out of that Summer House?
Because then next week, Kyle's gonna replace Paige in the boat, and Craig will talk to him in the little boat.
Yeah, so they drew it out. Craig got his way. He got to draw out for a full episode his conversation. Wes says that he fell asleep on top of the kitchen island and 4 people started having sex around him. Did you hear that part?
Yeah, Emerald apparently gets into some shenanigans this week.
That is so interesting. Well, if you don't mind, Amy, I might have to do what we love to do on Turtle Time, which is take a certified turtle piss break.
I'd love it.
All right, we're going to take a certified turtle piss break, and we'll be right back to talk about Beverly Hills.
BRB.
We're back.
Sutton on trial at sea.
Sutton on trial at sea.
It's kind of fun.
I know. At first, I thought that sounded like a title that if you and I were like struggling to come up with a title, that's what we would do. But then I love it actually comes up, bubbles up out of Sutton's mouth.
She
says,
said it.
She says, "This is not Sutton on trial at sea." And I love that they made the title something that Sutton said like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Overall, you and I have said, this is one of the worst Beverly Hills seasons in a long time. We hate talking about it. They've been spinning their wheels. Dorit versus Sutton, I'd rather die than watch them go back and forth again. But then I think I have to say, Erica really did something unexpected and very powerful by confronting Sutton finally on this pattern that she's seen from Sutton, where Sutton is extremely antagonistic to different people in the group at the time in their lives when they're at their worst. And Erica has sort of all of the evidence to go against Sutton at that. Yeah. So I really loved that from Erica. I think Erica is obviously so powerful, but she doesn't always care enough to like get in the middle of things because she's so even keeled. But when her ire, is up and pointed at the right target, I mean, she's one of the most powerful cast members we have in the Bravo universe, and it
Yeah.
brought that spark of life. It reminded me that Erica also provided my last favorite moment of the season, which was at the limoncello Kathy dinner when Erica had to tell Dorit the reality of what was going on when PK was making these secret moves,
Yeah.
about the divorce.
Yeah.
Erica's speech was so like amazing that like Bose was stunned by the power that Erica had at that dinner. And then this reminded me a little bit of that,
Yeah.
to a lesser degree.
I mean, she did live with a lawyer for 20 years. I feel like her arguments are always very succinct. She has her argument backed up. It's very convincing with the way she lays it out. And I will say, if we're not going to get too much of Erica's not up to much in her personal life, she's just sort of coming back from a horrible era. Because I'm like, yeah, like if she's going to be more of a supporting character in the sense that, her storyline is coming out of the ashes or whatever still.
Yes.
But if she's going to be kind of supporting, I like that she's just the truth teller on the side who's pretty objective.
Yes.
Who she has loyalties, but it seems like it's about more that she's like, now that I am on my feet again, fuck you guys that were shitty to me when I was feeling my worst.
Yeah.
And she's like, I have not forgiven, and I will be calling you out in very specific ways.
Yeah, I think that's what I liked about it, that she's been holding a grudge for what Sutton did to her at her lowest. And like Sutton was the most vocal. And you could argue that all of these times is Sutton looking for a moment, searching for some sort of conflict that she can generate to keep herself on the show, and she uses people's misfortune to buoy herself. And so that's what Erica's calling out, and I feel like Erica's being very authentic and real when she makes someone her target and finally speaks up against them. Like Sutton, she's been waiting to tell this to Sutton the entire time, and she just finally does it on this yacht. And then we get to see Sutton again. You were talking about this last week. When Sutton's got the laser beam on her, she absolutely loses her shit. She doesn't know how to speak anymore. She doesn't understand people, what they're actually saying to her. She kind of flops like a complete fish, and then she just has to run away because she can't stand it when someone does the same thing that she always does to everyone else. So we get to watch that in real time as well.
Totally. Before we get into the major moments of the episode, I just wanted to shout out that Jennifer Tilly was talking about her stint on Broadway in The Women, and I've always heard about this production, and it sounds like if you know, like it was iconic. I had to just look it up because I remember hearing that Kristen Johnston was in it. She was on Third Rock from the Sun. She's iconically the one that falls out of the high-rise window on Sex and the City. She's an icon. She's in it. Rue McClanahan, Cynthia Nixon, Jennifer Tilly, Jennifer Coolidge, Amy Ryan, and many others. But I've heard about that time and again, so I got excited when she talked about it.
That was awesome. And she says this amazing story. I actually could just listen to Jennifer Tilly's anecdotes about everything. The Gregory Peck stepping on her dress, Sam Simon, giving her Simpsons money in the divorce, all that kind of stuff is so interesting to me. And then this one was another one. She says that she had a British boyfriend who, I guess British people, she says, I've never known this to be the case, but they're more uptight. And she said that he didn't know that she was supposed to do full frontal nudity. And when she got up, the bubbles that she said were supposed to be covering her breasts started to pop off, or whatever bubbles do, drip down. And he goes, honey, he said it probably in a British accent. Darling, he goes, there was a wardrobe malfunction on set. The bubbles that were supposed to cover your breasts,
your tits and bits.
I guess I don't know what happened, but the bubbles started to go off your body, and you were fully nude. And she goes, we don't know the second part of that conversation. Probably she had to tell him, unfortunately, no, this play required me to be fully nude.
Yeah.
Do you remember that play that Daniel Radcliffe did
Equus.
where he was full frontal nude? Was that true?
Equus.
Was that a wardrobe malfunction?
It's part of it.
Really?
Yeah.
And it really happened? Did you go see it?
I never saw it.
Wow. So this is Broadway stuff, and I had no idea.
It's giving Broadway.
It's total, like the women Broadway, but apparently it didn't last with that British boyfriend.
I know, scandal noted, but I was almost about to stream Bullets Over Broadway. It's streaming for free on, I think Amazon has all of his movies.
I think they might be. Tubi. I think.
Oh
They might
yeah, they
a-
have them too.
Yeah.
And I almost watched it, but I was like, I couldn't decide if it was the vibe, and then I switched and I watched Mighty Aphrodite, but I was hungover and I fell asleep. And then when I woke up, Small Time Crooks was playing. So then I just ended up watching that little known classic.
Is Small Time Crooks good?
It's goofy as hell.
Is Mighty Aphrodite good?
Yeah. I forgot how many of his movies that he's in. And I was like, I think that's the next echelon of like, it's one thing to still be able to watch his movies, it's another to watch the ones that he's in, because you kind of have to get used to it and you're like, oh yeah.
Right. I forget which director you're talking about, but yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so you and I, we're going to talk about the main, the huge thing that happens towards the end, but there's some lead up that we have to talk about before we get to the Erica Sutton confrontation. And so first, Sutton decides they are at this wonderful dinner. I don't know where the hell it's at the resort, right?
Uh-huh.
They get watermelon carpaccio and a bunch of other appetizers, and then Sutton says, "Dorit, I have to tell you, that wallet comment, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Even though in my confessional I said I stand by it, and that was one of the best things I've ever said." She says now, "No, I shouldn't have said it. That was beneath me." And even Garcelle agrees. She's like, "That was low." And everyone agrees. So Sutton wants it to be known that she's apologizing about that "you having less money than me" comment. And now it's for everyone to decide whether or not Sutton is telling the truth, or if it's a little bone to throw at the audience so that we don't hate Sutton with all of our guts because she went there.
Yeah.
About the money stuff.
Yeah. I was surprised that she went there, because it started out with Dorit saying that Sutton is mean-spirited, and then Erica tries to start the conversation that happens later where she was saying that Sutton isn't sincere, and then Sutton already starts to freak out and goes, "Do you want me to put my hand on the Bible? I'm not doing this again." And Dorit's like, "You can't just play a victim every time." And Sutton goes, "Do not tell me what I can and cannot do." So I was surprised that she then was able to muster an apology after that, because she was getting so fired up. But then after she does apologize, Dorit tries to double down and like doesn't really want to swallow the apology. She's like, "Yeah, and you're like this and you're like that." And Bose is like, "Girl, like, she just said I'm sorry." And Garcelle is like, "Did you hear what she just said? Like, she said sorry. You could just be like, thank you."
Yeah.
But she wanted to keep going.
The first constructive criticism I think that Bose has provided to Dorit so far, being like, she just apologized.
That was
to you. Take
nice. I was like, have some,
I like that too.
Yeah.
We also should take a moment to say that I think what Bose did for Kyle was kind of iconic. It's not really referenced in the episode very much, but Bose went to the Malibu Soho house, which I don't want to brag, but I've been there a couple of times. It's one of the most beautiful places you can ever go in your life.
Bougie.
Oh, you've been there too, right? Oh, it's beautiful.
We have the same connect.
It's beautiful. Shout out to that wonderful person who brings us to the Malibu
for the
Soho house.
seafood platter.
But it's as beautiful as you could just picture it. Close your eyes. Imagine a buffet, seafood, on the water, a beautiful place. And then Bose was there. It's close to her Malibu house, unfortunately,
R.I.P.
that we lost. She lost.
We all lost.
Well, we lost the access to it. Remember, we were going
the
to get that
code.
gate code. But no, then who does she see? You're having the best time of your life. To the left of you is that sushi restaurant that everybody goes to. Nobu. Then she sees Mauricio on a date with that same person, I couldn't tell, or someone else. A date with a new person. It's not Kyle.
She described it as his girl, and then Kyle was like a girl. So It was a little confusing.
So we don't know. And then Bose did the coolest thing in the world, which I think is what we would do. Any friend would do. It's not the best. Like, it's not the best thing to do, and it doesn't respect Mauricio's privacy, all that reality television shit, but it's just what any of us would do if we were at the Malibu Soho House and we saw a friend's ex with somebody. She gives her a 3.5-minute voice note to Kyle telling absolutely everything about this date,
Yeah.
what the person looks like, saying that she wants to push them over the edge of the Malibu Soho House so they both fall to their deaths in
Yeah.
the water.
Yeah. I want to use this as a PSA moment because I just saw on TikTok that if you hold down on a voice note, you can play it at multiple different types of speeds.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
so- Next time, like if I were Kyle, I would have been like, I can't listen to all this. I would do 2 times speed.
I bet Kyle, did Kyle say it was long? Because I bet Kyle listened to every second of that. I would love to know every specific of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah. I
Do you
mean, I'm
think they
sure
had-
she was so bummed out.
Yeah. Do you think they had the buffet?
I hope so.
Yeah. And then Garcelle. Okay. So this was my least favorite moment. And it maybe should stem a conversation or spawn a conversation about Garcelle. Garcelle, I was like, I anticipated it, but I was still disappointed when Garcelle says, I have to say something. And she goes, I want to talk about Morgan Wade. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that I thought that that was the worst case scenario and that actually Garcelle brought it up. I don't know why I don't give a shit about Morgan Wade anymore. It's probably the out of sight, out of mind philosophy on Bravo shows. But also, I just feel like I don't care. I was so tired of that last season. And I just accept that they're not dating, or if Kyle wants to say it. It was like Garcelle got handed a script from last season.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And she's already done multiple flops like this where I forget what else she tried to bring up about Kyle that Sutton goes, don't talk about that. Like, we're nowhere near that. And then she brought up the Dorit robbery thing again. It just feels like there's no way that Sutton can be on the same page as Garcelle anymore when Garcelle keeps bringing up these things that nobody else wants to talk about.
Yeah.
So I was really disappointed in Garcelle for bringing up the Morgan Wade thing, and it kind of just gets squashed instantly. Kyle's like, I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah. She rolls her eyes. Her answer was sort of like jumbled. Like I was like, she really like was thrown for a loop there.
She was. I was already supposed to appear on stage with Morgan. That happened before everything. So what was I gonna do? But I'm just like, we said this last season. And if you're dating, I don't care.
Yeah.
If you're not dating, I don't care.
Yeah.
I only care about what the truth is. And I just have to accept that Kyle is saying what the truth is. They're not dating, but they use their relationship for clout and virality by having Morgan Wade and them appear in videos together where it seems like they're going to have sex.
I just remembered she's like, it's the opposite of, remember Danielle Staub and what's her name? Lori Michaels, was that her name? That they performed on Watch What Happens Live. She had like a brief period where she was gay and she sang a duet on Watch What Happens Live, and it was called the song was Close to You, and they did this very intimate, like I think it was at the piano, like
Wow.
real close to you. Like I love the lore of and Kim Zolciak was briefly gay as
Yes,
well.
of course.
I'm like, Kyle, enter the pantheon.
I know, but I don't know. Whatever is holding Kyle back.
I know. I get it. I'm just like, how epic would it be if she finally was like, there was just a magazine cover and it was like, yep, I'm gay. It would be amazing.
Yeah, Kyle says, I'm gay. With Morgan.
I'd be like, hell fucking yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I would too, but I'd be like, okay, great. You know, we got the answer to it. Now I'll think about you like that.
I think maybe it was just they had a phase when her marriage was crumbling and now it's already over. So she's like, there's no reason to like fess up to it if it's not even a thing anymore.
Yeah, and Morgan Wade didn't like the Bravo fan base. Like she did go on the show to boost her music career and get new fans and stuff. And then when the reaction was, we don't really enjoy this at all. We don't know what's going on here. I think that Morgan Wade just didn't want to participate in the Bravo universe anymore. And now Kyle won't even say her name.
Right. And then Erica is like, well, by the way, we don't know anything about Garcelle's private life. Like, who the hell is she having sex with? Which is true. Like, all we hear about is her kids ever and like her Lifetime movies. And she goes, I know she used to have a roster. Is anybody on it now? She goes, maybe she peaked in the 90s, which I saw. I I watched Watch What Happens Live, and I didn't even I missed her saying this, but I saw it online that Garcelle went, "Fuck Erica. I married for love, not money."
Oh my God.
Which I'm like, to me, that's like a boring insult. I'm like, if Erica Jane was on a roast, it would be all gold digger jokes.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, yeah, like she knows.
So she's insinuating that Erica married Tom Girardi because of his wealth?
I mean, that's the least of what he has to offer.
Have I talked about how
He's hot as hell.
he's amazing. Is he a Leo? Just kind of a spitfire.
He is a spitfire. He's a Leo from like 1922.
He goes, yeah, he is such a, I don't want to call him a little spitfire, but he's such a,
He's
a,
like Mickey Rooney.
He's so, God, I don't get me started on him. He's a spitfire for sure. I got to check his birthday. Was he born in cusp July or August bloom?
What's his rising?
What's his rising? Oh, I was going to say something.
I also like Garcelle goes, Julia Roberts can go around town without getting tailed, but Kyle Richards can't. And I'm like, Julia Roberts? I'm like, update your fucking references. Like, no one gives a shit what Julia Roberts is doing. I bet she doesn't get tailed.
Right, but I got to counter you there. We have heard that the highest creme de la creme of celebrities, they know how to get back and forth to the TMZ
true, but I'm like,
gates.
Spencer Pratt probably gets more attention because he's always like saying shit. Julia
Right.
Roberts is like, it's like, okay, she's married, her kids are teenagers, like who cares?
Right. Yeah, you're right. But I don't know where I fall on the line of like, do people just always just call paparazzi on themselves?
No, they definitely do, but I was just like,
No,
it was funny that she pulled they're always talking about Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts. I'm like, we got to move forward.
Totally. Yeah, and then Garcelle. So Garcelle goes, Morgan Wade, whatever's going on there. And then Sutton says not one word.
Yeah.
Because Sutton is having a full Kyle moment where she's bathing in the glory of having Kyle as her friend again. And Garcelle is so pissed.
Yeah.
She was like, I thought we were going to bring up Morgan Wade together and go viral this season by talking about Morgan Wade again. Sutton left me in the lurch here.
Yeah.
And so now I've had her back. They are basically admitting that they have absolute loyalty to each other.
Mhm.
Ride or die.
Yeah.
Have each other's backs in every single scene, which I don't enjoy.
Right.
I don't like absolute loyalty.
Yeah, no, the way that Garcelle gets pissed off in this scene where she's like in her pajamas, I was like, oh, she's like really mad, and it's obviously unspoken that there was like an agreement that they were going to do this.
And it's also really embarrassing probably to go out on a limb in this universe and get crickets chirping back at you. It'd be like if you and I went to dinner on one of these shows and we said we're both going to talk about meeting Johnny Depp. No, I mean, no, we're both going to accuse Dorit of
I would leave you on a limb. I'd be like, we didn't do that. We didn't go.
We were both going to accuse Dorit of PK hiring, people to come to the house. And then I said it, and I'd go, Amy, you said you were going to.
I'd be like, that is terrible. I don't know why you said that.
So Garcelle is embarrassed in addition to being mad at Sutton. And then that, can I just say, I think that sets perfectly the stage for this yacht adventure that they're about to go on, right?
Yeah. Sutton says to the group again, she goes, just so you all know that where I'm coming from, that I did feel bad about the money comment. It's not like me, which gave credence to the idea that she really just thought it was bad PR.
Yeah, and Erica knew that.
Mm-hmm.
She sniffed that thing out. She
Yeah.
goes, no one in the world, and I have to know what this philosophy is. It must be when you're filming or something. But she goes, no one in the world would say it again to make sure we all heard it. So that's how I knew instantly that Sutton's wallet apology comment was bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. And then Erica goes a step further. She goes, I have noticed that you're very critical and not compassionate with women going through hard times. She goes, you pose as a friend and work as an enemy. I was like, ooh, that's a little bit of a, I don't know, had a good ring to it.
Oh, totally. And Sutton is aghast Right?
Yeah.
Sutton cannot believe that Erica just made this accusation to her. And Erica has all the evidence.
Mhm.
They roll the
The
clips.
clips were killer. It was one after the other.
It was, and it perfectly summarized, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Erica had all of her ducks in a row legally, just
Yeah.
like how Tom Girardi would love. And the editors gave her that platform.
Yeah.
They said, here,
Roll
this
the
is
tape.
exactly what she's talking about, back to back.
Yeah. And Sutton, you can tell that she's sort of caught because in her confessional, she's being kind of jokey.
Uh-huh.
Like she goes, I just knew the other shoe would drop at some point. And she goes, I gave you a pizza party at Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, shut up.
I know. I go, that's not funny right now. Erica's
We're talking about something important.
Yeah.
We don't care about that.
Totally. That's exactly how I felt. It was too much of a huge accusation.
Yeah.
With great evidence that finally you and I have been at our wits' end with Sutton.
Yeah.
And so Erica is hitting on something here. Sutton using people's misfortune for fodder for herself to elevate herself in this franchise.
Yeah.
And Erica is the perfect person to level this accusation because Sutton hit her when she was at her lowest with all that LA Times shit about stealing diamonds.
Uh-huh.
Erica Girardi got a plane and filled it with diamonds and flew to a different city to steal all of them. Like Sutton said all of that stuff on camera. So Erica will resent her for the rest of her life.
Yeah. And then Sutton turns it into this semantics argument of like, you're accusing me of mistreating women. And she's like these women in this group. Like, I meant like, you have a history of doing this to, there's an example of at least 3 of us.
You know you're busted when you start doing semantics. And they
Yeah.
go, no, these women. What the hell are you talking about? Erica's like, what are you talking about? No, people in this group. And Kyle goes, she means in the group. Like Kyle doesn't want to even give it for 1 second.
Yeah, like she's a threat to womanhood everywhere. And then she goes, what do y'all fucking want from me?
Yeah, she gets so pissed. And immediately after you said the let go of the mouse thing again, she like gets into that mentality again. Put down the mouse. You're picking me up by my tail.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Sutton is like, well, Erica, your situation was different. And she's like, yeah, I'm special, I know. But it's like, I know that Sutton thinks that there's a carve out because there was like some moral, ethical line to be drawn about what Erica had done or whatever. But I'm like, regardless, like she was either your friend or she's not. And you were like picking her apart at that time, you know?
Totally. I understand if Erica was deemed innocent after that of why she would hate Sutton for what she did to her at that time. Dorit and Kyle want a little piece. They come back at some point. Yeah. Dorit kind of says, Dorit is very efficient in this scene. I noticed she's not going in and antagonizing Sutton along with Erica, but she's just pointing out that Sutton isn't just the recipient of bullying. She also gives it a lot and fights with them a lot. So Dorit brings up their comments about the alcohol stuff, and then Sutton calling her a bitch, and Dorit's like, you don't think that you've picked on me before? And then Sutton is getting so flustered when Dorit is also there on the other side of her, and Erica just blew her mind by accusing her of not being supportive of women. And Sutton goes like, I was henpecked by you. It was all the picking. And then Dorit is so calm. She goes, I'm sorry, but if you are speaking to me, I think it should be in English. Because Sutton is getting so flustered that she can't articulate a good point. And then that's when Sutton does one of the lamest things I've ever seen in history. She does an impromptu British accent to try to make fun of Dorit. She goes, okay, well, maybe if I speak in an English accent, it'll work better. One of the worst I've ever seen. And then Dorit just goes, maybe, but you can tell that they're just letting Sutton self-destruct on her own now because no one can make Sutton look lamer than herself here in this moment.
Yeah. She goes, this is not going to be Sutton on trial at sea. And then Jennifer Tilly's like, this week on a crazy yacht from hell.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I liked that.
Yeah. And Sutton gets up and walks away. and no one really, I think Kathy tries to get up and talk to her and she's like, leave me alone. But everyone's like, Sutton can like go sit in it. Like no one feels bad for her or cares. I also wanted to say there was a moment when Dorit and Kyle were alone together on the front of the boat. And I was surprised this didn't turn into something worse because Dorit asked how Kim
Oh, right.
Richards is doing. And Kyle is like, I honestly don't see her very much. I think she's good, which we know she's not.
No.
So I'm sure she absolutely did not want to talk about that, which I'm like, I feel like Dorit should have like known that she probably didn't want to talk about it. So I was a little like, why are you asking about that?
I know. I was sad to know that her and Kim aren't doing good after last season when Kim was popping up and
I
being
know. Well, I'm
sweet.
sure it's because she was like in the throes of horrible shit. Like that was probably right around the time when all that stuff was happening.
Yeah. So do we agree? I mean, because you and I have been like I've been a little bit fed up with Sutton and a little bit of, with Garcelle as well, just them using Kyle as a punching bag. And then when you see all these clips, it's like, yeah, Sutton, I mean, you give as good as you get. So then what is this the mouse thing about? Why do you turn yourself into a victim? You go as hard on everybody as anybody else on this cast.
Yeah.
So I think that it's finally good that Erica just acknowledged that, because I think that that's going to be like in the biography of Sutton forever now.
Yeah.
That, what that accusation that Erica leveled at her
Right.
in this episode. It was perfect at how Erica delivered it and how succinct and with all the evidence and everything.
Yeah.
So, a good episode. I was sad to see that Kathy is one of those people that makes everybody do a bunch of shit around her all of the time. Like if she needs dressing or napkins or a knife or whatever, she just constantly asks everybody else to do her bidding for her.
Jennifer was like, I'm not entirely sure she knows who I am.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. And then I also loved when Kyle coveted Jennifer Tilly's earrings that were one of one, Dolce and Gabbana. I didn't know what they were. Peppers?
They might have been like little like rocker hands.
Oh my God. Yeah, Kyle goes, I love those. Bo says, how do you get them? And she said, they're not available. They're just one of one, completely Dolce and Gabbana exclusive. So anyway, that was a better episode than you and I have been accustomed to.
It's true.
On Beverly Hills. So anything else to say about that?
Is there just one more?
I have no clue. I feel like this season is going to have Andy Cohen and Alex Baskin having a 2-hour meeting about the future of Beverly Hills. I'm going to say this is going to be, this won't bother anybody, but I think that I'm noticing now, okay, because the Fox Force 5, whatever you want to call it, that's not the best name for it, but that alliance was a detriment to the quality of Beverly Hills, and only Garcelle and Sutton were the ones that were poking holes and pushing at this steadfast alliance that nothing could break through. So you valued them because it's like, why is anybody talking about that? Lisa Rinna, you're too close to Erica to give her good advice, so Sutton has to come in there. But now that the alliance is shattered and they're just operating as normal cast members, they're going back to the same well that they always did, but it just is working a lot less efficiently because they have nothing else to do apart from providing the conflict that we used to enjoy when they were going up against that team.
Yeah.
So they're doing the same thing. It's as a steadfast alliance on their own. It just doesn't hit as hard because now the group is fractured and there's more infighting and more interpersonal dynamics. So I would almost say Sutton and Garcelle are now the weakest aspect of Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And you could argue if you really needed to do a shakeup, I would never get rid of Erica in my life.
Yeah.
Not for 1 second.
No.
I think Erica should be on for 10 more seasons, whatever she wants to do.
Yeah.
I think Dorit is an essential part of Beverly Hills. Like I've said, love her or hate her, she has the villain / hero. She goes up against people. She's very funny in small doses. I don't think she should ever be the center diamond holder. And then you always need to reserve. Kyle is Beverly Hills, so Kyle needs to stay. So if you really are, and Bose, I feel bad that Bose went on a lackluster season because she's probably one of the best new cast members they've had in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
With Jennifer Tilly to provide those interesting Hollywood anecdotes. So I'm saying, like, if you really needed to reshuffle things, it might be time to really take a strong look at the Garcelle and Sutton dynamic.
Snip, snip.
Don't you think? Do you agree with me, or is that too harsh?
No, I mean, they've had their time in the sun, frankly.
They have been shining in the sun for a very long time.
Yeah. I watched Garcelle was on Watch What Happens with Leslie Bibb from White Lotus.
Right.
And it was funny because apparently they go way back from being on like WB like 20 years ago.
Wow.
And Leslie kept turning to her because they were doing polls and stuff. And one of them was the group too hard on Sutton? And Leslie was like, not hard enough. And then they would be like, Garcelle, like, why weren't you like harder on Sutton about X, Y, and Z? And Leslie Bibb was like, yeah, why did you do that? And Garcelle was like, can you chill?
Wow. Oh, and also we didn't talk about that Garcelle purposefully did not back up Sutton on the boat as a direct retribution for Sutton not having Garcelle's back about the Morgan Wade comment. So she purposefully stood out of it or whatever. Didn't stand up for her in that moment.
They asked like a fan question was like, what's your beef with Kyle? And she goes, do I have beef with Kyle? And it's like, it would appear.
Yeah. We
Like,
think you
what?
do. Yeah. Right. That's why I think that Garcelle is almost doing like she feels like she's doing fan service for like the I don't know. Yeah. To
I think she might still be pissed about that auction thing when Kyle said she didn't pay her thing she bet on.
Yeah, they don't have a good relationship really.
Like they started badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, a little spark of life from Beverly Hills. What can they do to make next season better? Let us
Bring
know what
Anna
you
Marie
think.
back.
Yeah, I think it's time for Anna Marie. She didn't
And
have
Crystal.
a good Crystal, Anna Marie. Now we're getting somewhere.
They're at the center. You can build around them.
That's great. Well, good. I hope people enjoyed this week's episode of Beverly Hills a little more than what we've had in the past. And I hope you enjoyed Amy and I talking about both of the episodes this week and all that news
Oh, yeah.
at the top of the hour. So I will just say to end this episode of Turtle Time right around the 2-hour mark, which you know is a perfect episode of Turtle Time. I will say if you enjoyed this episode, please, for the love of God, make Amy and I the happiest people in the world and go to the Turtle Time Patreon and become a Villa Rosa VIP. If you pay $5 a month, you get access to the entire Turtle Time archive on Patreon, where Amy and I are recapping Vanderpump Rules from the very beginning. And I swear, season 6, people don't think about season 6 of Vanderpump Rules, but it is when Vanderpump Rules is firing on all cylinders. We're just about to recap when Tom Schwartz and Tom Sandoval go to Vegas to meet Nick Elaine for the very first time.
Underrated icon.
Oh my God, it is so amazing. Getting to see Nick Elaine hit the start of his journey is almost too much to bear. So please join us there. $5 a month. You get access to over 100 episodes, and you get access to the wonderful Villa Rosa VIP community. Anytime Amy and I reference things, it's usually because a wonderful Villa Rosa VIP puts something on our radar. One of our wonderful Villa Rosa VIPs listened to the Lisa Vanderpump episode of the Stassi podcast from 2017 and gave us a beautiful digest of all of the things they talked about. And we found out, well, why don't I just save it for Patreon?
You'll have to pay.
We don't like to do that very often, but we do need people to join Patreon. So we have to keep some stuff paywalled. And then I'll say, lastly, unless you want to say it,
Rate and review.
yeah, please go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and give Amy and I 5 stars for this episode. Come on. It's so nice when we read those reviews. They're all so sweet.
Yep. And watch on YouTube if you like video. And check out our Etsy if you like merchandise.
Oh, you could have the time of your life if you spent a full day dedicated to Turtle Time. Listen to a 2-hour episode, then listen to a 1-hour episode of a recap of Vanderpump Rules, then shop around on Etsy for an hour, then do a 30-minute review, and then what else?
Go on our Instagram and comment, go on our TikTok and comment, share with your friends, DM us.
What day is it? Make March 20th. This day today.
Great again.
Make March 20th a lot better than it normally is, and make it Turtle Time Day. Spend a full 8-hour day doing everything dedicated to Turtle Time. Comment on Instagram, do everything like that. That would be amazing, right?
Yes. We cheers to you.
We cheers to you. All right, goodbye. Sleep good, and Amy and I will be back just like clockwork whenever the hell we have our next episode.